This is the Lydian Spin with Tim Dahl. Hello,
Yes.
Timothy Seymour Dahl. Yeah, there's a bit of controversy going around, I think, globally at the moment. So, and
Well,
nobody is.
for a astrological cynic, this Mercury retrograde phase has definitely tested me a little bit because, boy, have I had car problems, computer problems, building problems. I mean, this shit is not stopping in this fucking check.
Don't discount the massive solar flares that are happening at just a unbelievable. All right, but let's get down to something more basic. Now, I'm occasionally sticking my nose into the Harvard Medical School publications, and
Sure.
this is nothing we didn't know, but finally now Harvard has confirmed with a paper and with several other academics besides Michael Ferguson on brain research about the impact of religious fundamentalism on those with brain lesions. So now, okay, brain lesions aren't just isolated to brain tumors. So people, for instance, with congenital disorders or degenerative brain disease, Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, this can all add to brain cell death or malfunction. Now, and as somebody that's had 3 people with brain cancer die in my family, I'm very interested in this. So according to the Cleveland Clinic, there are also immune and inflammatory conditions like multiple sclerosis, lupus,
Sure.
maybe even diabetes that can lead to lesions in the brain, and problems like epilepsy or a stroke, traumatic brain injury, brain aneurysms, they can all cause brain lesions. So, and they were studying like the brain functional connectivity pattern and how it correlated with religious fundamentalism. And they found that when even applying a conservative family-wise error, multiple comparison correction, robust neuroanatomical clusters were statistically significant in their association with religious fundamentalism. And it doesn't matter what kind of religion. I mean, this is across the board. So the survey looked at 2 different data sets, like one with lesions and one without, and they could reproduce the same patterns in both sets, making them believe that the results were real. In other words, and this is why people that are fundamental or extremist, like the brain lesions cause certain problems, like for instance, confabulations, which are fake or distorted memories that aren't even really made with deception. It could just believe, like, hello, have you been following politics? That the individual sometimes actually believes they're real, even when they are not.
Well, we know some people have had some brain damage, and I definitely believe that.
I just got word on one today, but also as far as crimes go, I mean, the comparisons for behavior came from violent crimes, also like assault, murder, and these results are still highly sensitive. I did sneak in there, but it's going to shed some light on the pathways through which religious fundamentalism can, in some ways, convert to hostility. Okay, and this is across
that's
all religions. So I do suggest anybody who's interested in where we stand today, they check out the Harvard study.
Well, I mean, if your brain is, I guess, first of all, if the myelon's eroding, you have gray matter and all this kind of stuff, I mean, that can create all those types of motor function things. But if there's also like just a clusterfuck in your brain and finding new pathways to compensate,
a lot of things can be done consciously by working on the brain. But there are so many things the brain can do to you that you're not even conscious of as it works on you to turn you into a host, a vehicle for whatever it wants to fucking get you to do, naughty or not.
I also wonder if there's some environmental things, like in terms of just.
Oh, absolutely. How about how about instead of brain plasticity, what about plastics in the brain? We know they're impeding.
Well, I wasn't even referring to that. I shouldn't have said environmental. I should have said a social thing. So if your brain is trying to working hard to compensate based on some damage, wouldn't a simple solution like a religion kind of be something you'd be seduced by? Here's a simple answer to this complicated world.
Well, I mean, it's even more basic than that, Tim, because a lot of times religion fills what? the hole you're going to end up in at the end of your life, be fucking empty. I thought that was a pretty good one. I just had a great line the other day because, I mean, how long have I been saying God was the first cop, the first cock? But now I came up with God was actually the first drag queen.
Please.
Well, I mean, come on, he's wearing a dress. Come on. I'm just saying, got to take it somewhere else. Anyway.
That'd be well, holes. You're talking about holes. Did you hear about I guess it's kind of a hole. Is a whirlpool a hole? It kind of is.
Well, my brain it is, but that's because I have I could possibly have neuroanatomical damage from the vortexes that are swirling around trying to fight the whirlpools. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, so did you hear, there's those 3 hikers. They were in California, and they got sucked into a whirlpool at the 7 teacups trail. So it must have been like a river whirlpool. Whoa. And because there's I think there's some rains even out there. I don't know, but they got sucked in, and people saw them like it was just like a full on.
They became like a human tornado.
It was like a sort of like a bathtub when you pull that plug. It was just sucked them in, and they found them at the end, but they were underwater for like 8 minutes, so they're done. They drowned.
So now they're all fundamentalists.
Well, they're somewhere. They're not alive in this.
Okay. So they've actually gone to whatever
they all died. Three of them died. The people that tried to save them or try to recover the corpses did not die. Looking up more about whirlpools, and of course, there are legendary regular whirlpools. There is the Solstrømmen, 20 miles south of Bodø, Norway, which is Bodo. I've played there a couple times, believe it or not. And it's a tidal whirlpool that happens like clockwork. And that thing is one of the more extreme ones. The diameter is 33 feet. And it goes 16 feet down. And the Lofoten Islands, very close to there. I mean, all these things near the Arctic Circle in Norway, there's a lot of these whirlpools, and that's where there's a lot of Viking lore that comes from these whirlpools that they would get sucked into these things, and they think it's
like
these
a mini Bermuda, like a Bermuda Triangle kind of. But Niagara Falls has a notorious whirlpool actually that is kind of constantly happening. So yeah, these whirlpools are kind of exotic. I mean, I don't know. What do you prefer, a whirlpool or a tornado? Well, probably I'd have to go with the tornado.
It's a little more. It seems a little more dramatic. I mean,
and it's just too phenomenal. It's just too phenomenal. Look, if there's a whirlpool, you avoid it, but you can't avoid a tornado just because you don't want it to, rip up your roof.
You don't always know there's a whirlpool.
Okay,
but there's noted ones on the planet because they're regular and they're identified. But they can just happen like a sinkhole or like a massive storm. They can just happen.
Let's go to the quiz I told you we had, because
please.
It's summertime. We love animals. A lot, and I'm going to give you a little tester. Well, first of all, let's just start with this, because we both love dolphins, and I think it might have been you that told me that they deliberately handle pufferfish, causing them to release toxins.
Yes.
Not only a defense mechanism, but because in high doses they have a powerful hallucinogenic.
Yeah, they get high off those things. They get high off of them. Yeah,
dolphins seem to love it. Now, I mean, of course, pufferfish. I mean, there some psycho people in Japan like to occasionally bite into a pufferfish.
Yeah.
Highly toxic. Let's get to the quiz, and this is still aquatic. So,
sure.
Whales, sharks, we know. How much do you think a blue whale's tongue might weigh in pounds?
Way. Okay.
Yeah, because I do have the answer.
I was hoping you were going to go for length or something like that, but weight. Ooh,
tongue weight of the tongue.
All right.
Or the weight of the heart. You can go either way.
Give me a second. I'm going to do the tongue. How about this? The tongue is 380 pounds.
You are so underestimating the size of blue whale. How about this?
They get up to 100 feet.
It can weigh as much as an elephant. the tongue.
Well, also it's tons. It's in the tons of pounds.
It's
It's like,
6 to 8,000 pounds.
oh my God. What?
Now,
What?
the heart of a blue whale, on the other hand, what do you think that could possibly weigh? You were hitting on it. You said the word. And it only beats
Tons.
every
1 ton.
yeah, and it only beats once every 10 seconds.
So that's pretty awesome. The reason I said 300, because I was like, okay, a blue whale gets up to 100 feet. So then I was like, I guess the proportions are different than like a human's in terms. I mean, I was thinking like if they're like 100 feet, is their tongue 7 feet? I was thinking, and then I was thinking like a 7 foot person. I was like 300 and something pounds.
We've heard about the elephant man. Now we've heard about the elephant tongue of the blue whale. All right. Well, I'll give you a half.
Way off. Way off. Okay.
Okay. Now I have this book. I'm sure you've seen it at my house called "An Exaltation of Larks," and it was written by the guy that used to host the Actor Studio, that weirdo. And it's a book about really, really beautifully illustrated about the names for different kinds of flocks of animals. So, I mean, we know a murder of crows. That's pretty obvious. But what do you think a flock of ravens is called?
Oh, so it's, oh boy.
This is an interesting one. There's two. They have two names, actually. And one is like an adjective, which is weird. It's not even like,
It's funny. I mean, obviously ravens and crows are different, but they're kind of similar. And so they've been differentiated. Is this through literature? Like, how did this?
No, this is just the way that their animals in flock have different names. All right, I think I stumped you, and I do. How about a flock of ravens is called an unkindness?
Oh my God, I would never get that.
Or a conspiracy of ravens.
I like the unkindness. I mean,
oh, come on! I know you can guess what a flock of parrots is called.
Ouch! Give me a second here. I'm very distracted today.
I understand. That's why I'm giving you a test. I'm trying to get your neuroplasticity.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why it's just a quiz.
Okay,
how about this? Well, a pandemonium.
Oh yeah. But how often do you see a flock of parrots? I guess.
Well, actually, in Barcelona, you see wild parrots in flocks, and you know what? They build condos in the trees.
Oh, but the green ones. Well, we have those in New York, and we have them in Hyde Park, Chicago. Yeah, the ones. They behave.
Well, I mean, you know what else you have in Massachusetts now? You hear that West Nile sitting up there.
I don't think it's West Nile. I think it's encephalitis. It's actually way more dangerous. And it's in like a couple cities near Worcester, and yeah, they have curfews.
Which, by the way, we have our own personal history in Worcester. Okay, I got a few more flocks. What about a buffalo flock?
All right, so that's not a herd.
Well, we would think it was, wouldn't we? Again, this is it's so bizarre. I'm just gonna have to give it. I'm gonna have to lay it out.
Go ahead.
Obstinacy of buffalo.
Whoa.
And then, okay, this one should be easy. Now to really think about this, I know your brain's going all over the place. It is summer and it might be frying. What about rhinoceroses?
Is this like a bad pun or something about their?
No, this makes sense. All right. The bells.
Stampede of yeah.
Close. Right. How about a crash of rhinoceros?
I like that one.
That's not bad.
All
right, I'm just going to give you. Okay, now this one really freaks me out. Now I don't know if you've ever heard of the Deuterogenia osarium, which is the bone house wasp. I'd never heard of it, but it's a species of wasp discovered in Southeast China just a few years ago. And it was named after the graveyard bone houses because what they do, these wasps, is they make a vestibule cell filled with dead ants, which is built by the female wasp to close the nest after she lays her eggs. I kind of like that a lot.
So it's a boneyard for
it's a bone house. Yeah.
Bone house. Yeah.
That's a great name for a band, Bone House Wasp.
Bone House Wasp, which is like these kind of like New England Northeast Protestants, in a kind of a demonic band or something like that?
All
Or
right, now
a single person.
we're losing them.
House wasp.
We're losing them at an alarming rate. But I mean, they're so fast, I'm surprised we can even see them. So honeybees can flap their wings how many times a second?
Oh,
You won't even
Jesus.
imagine. You won't even imagine. You can't. It's
What,
beyond you.
one second. I mean, all right, so you're already telling me it's a shitload. 1,300 times.
Well, that's going a bit far, Tim. It's too high.
But
That's
a
whole flock of honeybees.
Well, there could be like a warp speed honeybee, but
well, let's face it, if it's
200 seconds, pretty insane.
200 times or 1,300 times, we ain't going to be able to see that fast. It doesn't matter. Now, animals have their own language. We know this, and they communicate in various ways. But did you know that elephants have a specific alarm call that means human?
I did not know. I mean, but which elephants? I mean, there's Southeast Asian elephants, there's sub-Saharan African elephants.
I'll get back to you on that one.
Yeah,
I'll have to investigate that a little further.
Because what I'm getting at, that would be amazing if the elephant tribes around the world all had the same sound for human. Now that's news I'd want to know about, but I highly doubt that. I'm sure there's one observed proof.
Although some may contest that you may be one of the loudest land animals out
roar.
What do you think? What land animal has the loudest? And it's not, I didn't think this. I thought something else for sure.
I got to focus on this one because I'm not doing well today.
Okay,
Go.
It can reach 140 decibels.
Wait, how many decibels?
140, which is like a jet engine.
So fucking loud. Okay.
And it can be heard for 3 miles away. And it's not a big animal. But it's risky.
but it's
and I wouldn't want it on my back. All right, that's the only clue I'm going to give.
I missed part of that. I mean, a coyote.
And I wouldn't want one on my back. Monkey. Howler monkey.
Oh, a howler monkey. Duh. I didn't realize it was that fucking power. 100 and how many decibels? I mean,
40. But I'm sorry, I'm going to top myself on the next one because this is pretty outrageous. So that may be the loudest land animal.
All right, here we go.
Loudest animal in the world is only 2 centimeters long.
Oh, like a cricket.
Nope, the pistol shrimp.
What?
Which is what I would have called the sex
ocean.
if I've ever seen it live. The pistol shrimp is capable of snapping its claw shut so rapidly.
I've heard about
that. It creates a bubble which collapses to produce a sonic blast louder than the Concorde sonic boom. So the shock wave can reach
I've heard about this.
Louder than the sound of a gunshot. And the imploding bubble for a split second generates temperatures of how high do you think the temperature? This is truly astonishing. No, I mean, and go all the way.
Close to boiling?
Keep going.
What?
What's hotter than boiling water? Like, what's the hottest thing we know?
I mean, the sun or the stars?
Yes, it can generate in that imploding bubble of a split second temperatures of 4,400 degrees Celsius. Killing its prey and anything else near it. And it's 2 centimeters. Again, it's not the size, but it's the snap of the claw that
there's something about those shrimp and temperature because that's what's been studied with the thermosynthesis, which is a big part of the theory that maybe there's life. That's life without sun, because these things are so deep in the deepest parts of the ocean.
Yeah, of course.
So that's why there's theories that maybe there's maybe life under some of the ice sheets of some of the moons of Saturn. But what I'm getting at with this is, there's no shrimp that can go between like below freezing temperatures and then move 1 centimeter next to the vents, and it's like 1,000 degrees. So basically, if you're blowing a bubble out of you of sound, if you're doing a shrimp fart at that level, you can handle the heat. Let's put it that way. You're surrounded by.
I mean, fuck murderous again. This could be the pistol shrimp and the howler monkey on the road at last and one more time again, because we're going to be there soon. As
Yes.
that would be you, Timothy Seymour Dahl, and I, myself, will be at the Hamburger Bahnhof September 12th in Berlin, a very reputable, I don't know why they're having us, museum, which is featuring as well at the time, Marianne Simnitz exhibition called Winner. So
Yes.
that's coming up for us, and I guess you'll be leaving soon. I'm already in Barcelona.
I'm leaving in a week. Are you showing up to Berlin days before, one day before?
I'm just going to show up. I'm showing up on the 13th.
No, on the twin.
I mean, on the time it's showing up on the 11th.
Yeah, on the 11th. Yeah, I'll be there on the 11th too. So we'll figure that out.
Okay,
but I appreciate the quizzes. These are tough. These quizzes have gotten harder, I have to say.
Well, we haven't had one in a while, and I mean, and you know, I did have to dig deep, especially for that 2 centimeter long pistol shrimp.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to give a little howl, a little monkey howl out to the fact that Jerry Stahl, one of my favorite writers and humorist and sourpusses extraordinaire of the highest and lowest order, now has a Substack out there, and I do recommend people go and check it out. You can pay, you can get in there for free. And by the way, speaking about paying or getting in for free, we're going to start charging for the podcast very soon. So I would say sharpen your pencils, kids, and start writing those goddamn checks. Because after all of these episodes, give us a freaking break. This is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch and Tim Dole.
I just want to destroy all computers, everything right now. I mean, I really just want them to all blow up and go back to the fucking dark ages.
This is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, and our guest today, Nicky Miller, who is a multimedia, multidiscipline, and sometimes disciplining or disciplined performance artist, filmmaker, mostly concentrating on queer culture, pornography, and also works with this interesting group called the Queerdos. And she just got back from Bucharest. So she's now in Berlin. You're in Brooklyn. I'm in Barcelona. We're all over the place. Hi, Nicky.
Yes, we are.
Hi, happy to be with you both. Thank you for welcoming me. Yeah.
And I met Nicky at Vanya's apartment with Slava.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a family affair. It's a family affair. Real family.
That was nice.
What did you do in Bucharest? I love Bucharest. Was that your first time there?
Yeah, it was my first time there, and I landed back yesterday night. And so it's really fresh. We were with a collective of artists named Queerdos performing a piece named Sultry Beach Theory.
The sultry, may I say that? The sultry bitch theory.
Sultry Beach Theory, yeah.
Theory. Well, she has a little accent. She can do it, say it however she wants. And what was, I saw some pictures of that. I didn't see a full performance, but the costumes looked amazing. What exactly is the sultry bitch theory with the collective of Queerdos, which is just one of the many things you do? What went down in Bucharest? Tell me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were welcoming the Apollo Theater 111. It's called Apollo Theater 111. And so it was a festival named Ecosystem that is really nice. We met a lot of nice community there. And we performed the Sultry Beach is a theorization of the what is a sultry beach, that is humid and beach like the dog female
a
dog.
bitch in all senses.
It's like a beach, yeah. And so we are all bitches on stage. I have 2 other partners, Dania and Pierre-Emo, Dania Harvey and Pierre-Emo. And so we have our own monologues talking about sexuality, queer sexuality, and it's half poetry. We all have different roles, so sometimes it's also very theoretical, but it's funny. And it's the only piece I perform with Queerdos that is a collective I performed since 7 years already, spoken word a lot. And it was our first theater play because usually we perform more spoken word individually on stage. So we were really proud to do it, yeah.
And were these the picture that I saw? I don't know which performance it was from, but the costumes were quite elaborate, and some had like animal faces on? But did you have these costumes this time? What were the costumes?
The costume were made by my friend
My
Anthony.
darling bitch, what was your face?
I was this doggy, like the small doggy dog with the nose like flattened. Like, what is this name of
Pug,
this?
a pug, what kind of dog is that, Tim? A pug?
Yes,
Shiny.
well, could be a pug, it could be a few different things, but yes.
Could be
Could be a French bulldog. Could be that
Yeah,
too.
a French bulldog. Totally, that was that one. I was
Okay.
thinking Chihuahua. Sorry.
Which are, by the way, which are a hot item to steal in the United States. It's supply and demand. Well, a couple of years ago, they became like this very popular dog to buy, and people are spending a fortune on these, thousands of dollars on these things. And then people would just like, someone would be walking midday, someone just grab it and run off with the thing.
Dog name.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was this dog that was too much dangerous or something like that also. No?
Well, you know, maybe dog whisperers are the thieves in this one.
Maybe when you're wearing the mask, you're too dangerous. Could that be? No, you're so cuddly.
No, it was not easy to play there because it's also a place where, you know, for queer people, Bucharest is not like so open-minded at Berlin. So we were afraid a bit to cross over some boundaries with the text and that are very pornographic and talking about chemsex, consumption of drugs. There was a lot of things. But
there was a lot of what? A lot of
trigger warning. We had to put a trigger warning in the.
I mean, but not everyone. I mean, I feel like the people that are so uptight about queer culture, homosexuality, or just non-traditional sexuality, would they even know what chemsex is? Like how would that offend them? How do they even know about that? But
well,
I don't know.
But wait a minute, Tim. I mean, because we've played in Bucharest, and there are some very hip people everywhere. And the more repressed a society seems, which are so many of them now, the more people are desperate for something completely alternative.
Yeah, it was well received, but sometimes I see in the gaze, because I have to interact with the audience very near. Like sometimes I ask, for example, there was a moment I tried to undress one of the audience, but he didn't want because I asked consent before or stuff like that. And he looked at me really like with big eyes and was really like shocked.
Well, you know, my forte is confronting the audience. It's just natural to me.
But they were really cute and they really get it. They have to come on stage with us at a certain moment to do the spit roast. That is a position. Don't know if you heard about the spit roast. It's like
spit roast.
Pig roast.
Yeah.
Spit roast. Oh, that's just like yeah.
Roast. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. We know that.
And so they did it. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, like without like the real thing, but they mimic it.
They made a mimicry of the sexual act of the spit roast. You're saying they didn't actually do it.
We try to invite them to do something with us at the end because there's so much love on stage. We want to share the love. So
just say again, there's so much love on stage while we're spit roasting someone that we want to show the love.
So I mean, are these all ages crowds who are seeing this? I mean, if this is like an art performance, I mean, my father sometimes would take me. He was an urban guy, and he would take me to these art performances that would maybe many people in society say weren't appropriate for a child, but you know, that was the collision sometimes in his interest in performance art and all that stuff. So I'm curious.
Yeah, but is there an age limit? I mean, because look, even for rock concerts, there's like often they have to be 18 or 21 now.
I think it was 18, but I'm not sure because I didn't write the program, but I think there was really trigger warning, and I don't know if they put 18 or not.
I have a question though. For someone like yourself, who's kind of a warrior for transgressive sexuality and all that stuff, what do you think about trigger warnings? I mean, isn't that like a filter on a celebration of the unfiltered?
It is, but we have obligation with institutions.
Okay.
Well, look, I even had to have a trigger warning on my film about depression, anxiety, and rage. I had to put trigger warnings on things because there's just too many sensitive loudmouths that, you know, could cause trouble over nothing because they don't agree.
But at one point is society saying, why is everyone catering to the weakest link? I think weakest links need help. and often that can be mental health, or it could be all types of things that they might be seriously suffering from. But why,
They might
it's
queer sex to turn them into, like a normal human being for once.
well, there's
feelings that go.
here's a metaphor I always use, because my cousin was a lifeguard in the Parks District in Chicago, and he always said, the first thing they teach you of a lifeguard, if you drown, the people you're trying to save and everyone else drowns. So if someone's they can't swim properly, or they can't handle the waves or whatever, do we all just hold the person in fetal position on the bottom of the water and just drown together? Or
but you're so right, Jim. It's like, you have to be 21 to drink, or you have to be how old to vote? Now, how old to get a gun in America? 12?
Oh yeah. You can kill in a war before you can drink. Yes.
But no, but this is a pity. Is like last time we did also another performance. We have to put suicidal tendencies.
You had to put what?
Suicidal tendencies. We have to trigger warning for, because we were talking about death.
Were you talking about the band suicidal tendencies, or the reality? Okay.
No, but we had to put a trigger warning at the theater. Same thing.
Because you're talking about something that is as natural as life, which is death.
Well,
yes, but we should not put trigger warning. I totally agree with you.
I mean, it's like the suffering and the acts of violence and all these things. Other people do them. Other people, act them out. You can't say it. You can't do an abstract representation of this thing that other people are fucking doing. Come on.
But Tim, let me go back to one part of my career many decades ago, when I debated the guy that started with Chipper Gore's wife record labeling. And to me, it's like, you are picking on a symptom of society by saying this has to be right. Look, films are rated. I'm not exactly against a trigger warning, because anybody that might be triggered is probably not going to be there anyway. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but you go out of the room.
That's intelligent person, not
about it. No, I don't know.
But I prefer freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and then freedom to edit in your own mind. So you can't handle a situation, walk out.
Music, when you play music, you don't have to put trigger warning.
Well, it's funny you say that, because that's what Lydia was referring to. Chipper Gore, who is the wife of Al Gore, created a campaign to basically try to do that. She ended up doing that. They had to put a parental advisory label on records. And of course, all that did is increase record sales, because the teenagers, when they saw that, if they didn't see that, they weren't interested. Exactly.
And my theory was, when I'm debating this asshole lawyer, and I love to debate, was that, and it was about Two Live Crew, who were awful and silly anyway. But I'm like, you are picking on a symptom of the problem. The problem is misogyny, racism, drug dealing to children, stupidity. But all of these things and worse go back to Greek tragedies and the Bible. Hello. So now you're picking something from the 70s and 80s to say now this is a problem, when your fundamentalism has killed more people than a Judas Priest record.
I mean, yeah, exactly.
You can't see us, but we all threw our hands up in the air.
But the other point is, be considerate, be moral in society. If you take the abstraction of those thoughts and behaviors out of art, oh boy, what kind of art do you have? Not that art has to be that, but you've just severed the limbs of the abstract ability to express the horrors and the realities of this fucking planet. And you shackle yourself and take that out of the ingredients of your expression. Well, good luck in art.
Well, that's what Disney, which even Disney now has some R-rated horror pictures. But now back to you, Nikki, because theater and live performances are very important to you. And in watching some of your films, one thing I really like is there's not enough 6, 10, 12-minute films anymore. And some of the films that you've made that go to these festivals and have won awards that deal with queer sex, that they were very short, concise, but they all look very different, but they all had a very beautifully filmed aesthetic with very different people. I really liked the Lemon Taste, which was black and white, I think, and I always prefer black and white, and then has some color in it. So, I mean, first of all, what made you decide, okay, there comes a point, because you had gone to Bogota, to Madrid, to Spain, doing artist residency workshops for performance. And then was it in 2010, you said, that's it, now I have to find a way to express the sexuality that many of your friends and collectives had? What made you say, that's what I have to do now?
Oh, I think mainly was because I changed lifestyle. After a while of traveling a lot in the world with a suitcase and not studying because I didn't study, but doing performing art, I set up in Brussels, Belgium for 7 years. And there I was for living a bit my life, working in a bar and ending very late shift at night. So I discovered a nightlife that I didn't have time to discover in the past because I was more doing other things. And so I was ending up with my friends. It was a queer bar. We were ending up in the last cruising bar for men. There's 6, 7 a.m. every morning, you know, like, and so we were hanging out in this cruising bar for men all the nights, till very late. Till
What do Brussels cruising bars look like at 6, 7 a.m. in the morning? After the whole night of cruising, what does it look like at 6 or 7?
It's really dirty.
Yeah. Well, the
Not this kind of things you're gonna go, like, it's not, it's like all the people of the night are there, like, so all the people who end up the clubs, or all the people who end up their jobs, all the people who don't know what to do, all the cruising people are here too.
Is this where you found talent for your films, in these bars?
Yeah, I found inspiration for my first film there. That was named Oh Socks. I think I didn't show it to you, but because it's not really one of my favorites, because it's more shy and really the beginning. But yeah, it was because I was hanging out in a cruising bar for men, and I had this lifestyle for many years there. And then I said, okay, I'm going to do something with it. I need to portray it. And so I asked to the owner of the bar, that was named Stamm Bar at this period, I think it still exists, and to lend me the bar and to reenact a cruising scene of friends having a party in this dark room.
Yeah.
And
you took it from there.
Black Peter, by the way.
Pardon me?
Yeah, you're talking about
Black Peter, my friend Gio, by the way. Yeah.
We've had him on the show, yes.
Yeah. And so we were reenacting this scene in the bar, and it was called Oh Socks. That was my first experimental film. And I liked it. I said, why?
Let me just say it, because I read it. It's called Oh Socks.
Oh Socks.
Not All Souls. Oh Socks. Now, is that in reference to men wearing socks in pornography, or what is the name? How does the name indict the?
It came from these socks you sell on eBay. You know, you can sell your old socks on eBay to have this fetish. But it's also something you wear, when you have sex.
If you're the Red Hot Chili Peppers, that's your costume when you were younger.
That was fun.
But how did you learn to use the camera? Because I mean, and what camera are you using? Because the films that you're making, they're very clean looking, even though we're dealing with, get down. And also, I think that the pornography that you're making, first of all, it doesn't feel, as you just said before, that this performance with Queerdos, you were on stage, it was very loving. These films feel very like sexually loving.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, loving, you mean like
it's important to you, right?
Loving, like, sorry, I didn't like.
Yeah, I mean, they're not exploitative. They're just showing sex in a positive way amongst people that are different than most people. But of course, we know there's a huge collective of alternative sexual creatures out there.
Yeah, but they are soft. Finally, they are not so like explicit, but they are explicit for what we can show on screen at cinema. But they are accepted in film festivals that are queer film festival or porn film festival, mainly at cinema.
And I mean, I know you're one film Fisherman, and it's interesting. I was reading about it before I watched it, and they were kind of comparing it to The Lighthouse, the film The Lighthouse.
Yeah,
Tim.
that was funny quotes. Yeah.
With Willem Dafoe.
I don't understand why, but
it's one man, another joins, and then others join, and then I wouldn't say dissolves. It explodes in a kind of a gentle orgy in the water. But it's again filmed beautifully, and each film looks very different. The aesthetic is very different.
And the fisherman is very mythology. I'm inspired from mythology for the fisherman. I wanted to do a tale, a pornographic tale, mythologic
A
tale.
tail with 6 tails literally being in the front of their bodies and being erect.
Why-
Happy then. It has to make you horny, by the way.
why don't you do a remake of 3 Men and a Baby?
Babies, I don't know.
Well, no, because which was originally a French movie. It was
Never think about it.
no, but 3 Men in a Cradle, 3 Men and a Baby.
Babies, no babies.
No. In the PG family version of that movie in America, it was like a Christian gay male softcore movie, and they're like taking care of this child, and they live together. So yeah. Anyhow,
Yeah, why not?
All the men I know are babies, and they should most of them be in. But I don't want to. I mean, look, I have to deal with enough of their shit. Now I got to change their fucking diapers. Forget it. I don't want no part of this concept. I'm erasing that concept.
Yes.
I mean, I don't want babies. No,
Of course not. But that fucking commercial fucking movie is more perverted than anything. That's what I'm getting at.
I think that adult men in diapers wanting to be treated like a baby is more perverse than any,
that thing.
That would
and
be
any
fun.
other kind of cinema, queer, weird, exploitative, pornographic, 1970s. I just think it's the most perverse thing. But
Have either of you?
That's very perverse,
There's
yeah.
a two-tiered question for either of you. Have either of you ever come across a diaper fetish lover who wanted you to baby and powder and change?
I will say this: I'll spank that baby's ass and send him on his way faster than he can say, "Mom."
Oh, you should go Folsom in Berlin. Have you ever been to the Folsom party in Berlin? It's not a party; it's in the streets. It's like all the in the streets. We have a celebration in September. I think it's in September soon. And there's the old district in Norlander Place, I think. And everybody's wearing his own fetish in the streets. And there's a lot of men in diapers.
Whatever turns you on, and we know it doesn't turn us on, but whatever it turns me on, if people are getting turned on by their own weirdness.
Yeah, but Lydia, you've told me many times, German sex, it's too inclusive.
Hey,
it's not.
Let's not cut out my future opportunity here. I also told you about one of my favorite sexual experiences with. Let's not go into those that have committed suicide. Anyway, it takes all kinds.
Whatever it takes.
And whoever can take it, and needs or give it. But anyway, so you started making these films, and then you have been very successful in getting them into many festivals, which is great. When I saw the list of festivals your films were in, and so that it was like top 10 in the Los Angeles Film Festival just 2 years ago. I mean, that's great.
Yeah, but the beginning was hard. I mean, at the beginning, I was in Brussels and I could not screen so much, so I had to organize my own screening in bars, in discotheque, in clubs, in small places by myself, because nobody wanted to watch them really. Like, they didn't understand why I would do me as a persona, some gay porn or some gay pornography.
Well, it's interesting because Brussels, I find, is there is a pretty large community that's into kind of transgressive things. I found in Brussels. So
yeah, there is, but at the period where I was, it was like 10 years ago. I think my first film, there was a community, but not yet porn film festivals or films that it was hard for me to screen. I really literally screened in bars at the beginning.
Well, I think also that, for instance, some of the films that were made in New York in the late 70s, we'll start with the early 70s, when I'm talking now strictly just pornography, that then went into the cinema of transgression, which was pornographic in some fronts, often politically pornographic. And the time was very different then. But also we had to book our own clubs. We had to put it wherever we could. And then the Whitney Museum picks up one of the Richard Kern films I was in, and that's like their main film of the cinema of transgression. So, I mean, these run in cycles, and we know we're coming out of a very dark cycle in many ways, not only COVID, but also the sexual harassment that people feel, sometimes over very small things, sometimes over very huge things. And it was a very tricky time. And I think that we're coming out of that. I hope that we're coming out of that now.
Well, I feel like Europe is kind of still a little on the incline. I mean, definitely America is on the decline of the
Yeah.
neo-Puritanism, but Europe, it's maybe
Yeah.
still on the up.
Today it's okay. Today there's a lot of film festival and porn film festival. We have a space for that, and we are very privileged, I think. But when I started also, I think as I'm not a man also, for me, it feels triggering me to be, for example, my first screening of all socks was then in Berlin. I had to go Berlin to screen at Porn Film Festival, and I was really happy to be selected in a cinema. You know, it was my first time to discover there and encounter a community that does queer porn like me, compared to Brussels at the beginning. Today, Brussels, I think, is better too. But I was alone as a non-binary gender in the room, and there was only men in the room watching my film, you know? It was something. It
Well,
was,
I wanted to ask you that, Nikki, because French-speaking cultures,
yeah.
definitely they have, correct me if I'm wrong, men kind of have a little privilege in a lot of those cultures. And it's based on just the history of writing, the rights to vote and all types of things. So if you're not a male, with kind of the work that you're doing, going into French-speaking cultures, you think there's a cultural pushback?
I think it's not only France. I think it's a bit everywhere.
No,
No,
it's everywhere, but you know, like Scandinavia, women and men or whoever are paid the same for the same job, and it's a lot of it's economic.
yeah,
And
equality is not there
Well,
yet.
also, not only pushback, but since there's a lot of pushing in and out in your films, how do the men feel about you directing them? I mean, they must feel comfortable. Because I mean, the films look very they don't look uncomfortable. They don't make you uncomfortable. There's something very, I want to say, tender about them. And you know, there's something very tender about
My
them.
performers are really great. They are all feminists. And it was important for me to work with feminist
men,
feminist men, feminist sex workers. They are sex workers, and they are activists of the question too. They say it loud. They teach me a lot, and that's why we have this like kind of complicity, and it's important for a filmmaker to be good with his performer.
yeah, I have to ask you on this because feminism in every country has a different history and a different definition and a different priority. Like a lot of French feminists during the Me Too were coming out saying, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Being objectified it might be something I like," and so that's an interesting thing culturally. So I mean, obviously Berlin is so international at this point. What's the universal spread with feminism for you?
Well, there's many tendencies in feminism. I'm more from the queer scene too, so the feminism is quite different from the feminism, feminism.
Sure.
Because we are reversing all genders and roles also in our community. There's a lot of I'm non-binary, so I'm fluid gender. So I don't consider myself as a woman too. I'm feminist, but I'm not a woman, so it's already difficult to understand that at first.
Yep.
Then feminism and sexuality is another question than the sex you have in between the legs, I would say, for me.
Absolutely.
So I would not matter to be a man or a woman to shoot a porn. For me, it's like, I think our gaze as feminists is very important on sexuality and pornography today, because if you think about it, pornography is not shot by so many feminists or women in the world. And
right. And especially, in the 70s, especially, there was a big feminist anti-porn on all fronts. Bush, which, the thing is, look, you can't paint the same way you can't say all music, whatever it is. You can't, and also it's very hard to find good pornography if you don't know what you're looking for. But to just say all of it is wrong is ridiculous, because sex is not wrong. Thank you, unless you're,
empowering is empowering sexuality for femme bodies, like we had this problem with some porn film festival that are banned in UK. I was part of a porn film festival in UK that was really nice, and some women, conservative women that are feminist and lesbian even, they came in front of the kino saying sex work is not feminism, but that's so low level, and they went to court because of this festival. It was a big mess. We have to change the location.
God.
going into a hidden location. They were literally in front of the kino with yeah, and they don't.
I'm going to go back to what Tim was saying, because in every country at different times, it means different things to different people. And to me, why I didn't reject or I didn't even accept the label of feminism is because really, I think all people that are not white, rich, capitalist, patriarchal, octogenarians are other. I don't care. Below that, we are all other. And there's more of us.
I have a
So to me, it's not an say feminist, because I think that men who are thinking, intelligent, feministic men have a very tough fucking time. And also their sexual trauma is rarely ever expressed. And sometimes it is those who have been traumatized that become a traumatizer. The problem is much deeper than just what happened to somebody today at that point. I mean, you have to look much further back in that person's, in all of history, to try to understand why these things are so offensive, why they're so traumatic, why
and
people
then there is religion and patriarchy on the top, you know, like that is all connected, but it's like, yeah, this is a big mess.
It's too big a subject because let's go, we have to ban all pornography. You know, I would say we have to ban all Republicans in America because they are the most perversely pornographic, because they are for things worse than any sex I've ever seen in my life. They are absolutely anti-sex, anti.
Abortion is very important, for example. Like,
what's that? One more time.
Abortion is very important. Like, I don't understand why we regress so much.
Well, so are free vasectomies, which I would give to every Republican, Democrat, and Independent.
Well, it's gotten so insane. I mean, and you know, it's interesting. You know, if I was president, first thing I would do is
president of ICE, Tim. President
of the United States. There's a civilian medal the president's going to give called the Medal of Freedom, and I would hand it to all these abortion clinic doctors. First thing I do,
I would start the Medal of Freakdom. Yeah. And all my friends would get one, the Medal of Freakdom.
Okay. You can still make those and hand them out here and there to whoever. That's a funny idea, just to make your own medal, and then out of nowhere, like end of the night, and you just want to kind of change the direction with some novelty. And he's like, I'm giving you a medal right now.
Wow, what a medal.
I mean, now that you're talking about this, I really think these badges that I had made with my face, this is kind of the badge of freakdom. So I guess I'm already there.
You're a saint, don't worry.
I'm a saint, yeah. Saint of the sexually insane, like Saint Eulalia, which was a saint in Barcelona who was dragged through the streets and murdered because she wouldn't confess because she had no sins. Typical.
I think all three of us should start doing two things: start giving medals when people deserve it, our friends, and then when we're kind of annoyed with the situation, do what Frank Lloyd Wright would do with his students when he was broke: give them a bill.
Nice.
Yeah, that would be. That would be like.
So if you're hanging out with any of us, you're getting a medal or a bill that night.
Don't we give people a bill when we make them pay to come to our shows?
Well,
we're doing it. We're already ahead.
Yeah,
we're even ahead of ourselves.
Oh boy.
I want a hundo. I want $100 bill. Thank you very much. But I don't sell socks, but panties.
It's fun to do porn. It's really fun. It's really a joy, and each time is funny. It's so funny. You can't imagine.
I often laugh when I'm in bed with men. I have to say,
Do you know Maria Beatty? She was on our podcast early on.
I talked to them about it. She doesn't know Maria, but she should.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay.
I was mentioning her to you, that she was doing very beautiful, extreme lesbian SMBD films, and they're very, very well made as well. And I mean, you're running kind of a parallel existence, so you need to know each other.
What is her name?
Maria Beatty, Beatty.
You have to send me the name.
I love pimping guests we've already had on the show to other guests we're just having on the show.
Very creative platform medium to do pornography and cinema, and I love it. I really embrace it, and it's also very a big satisfaction when you work with others and you learn about sex also, and you learn about yourself, you learn about others. I love it.
What was there a memorable moment in your life where you're like, I'm going in this direction? Was this just a slow, a internal burn that you just kind of just creeped out, or was there a formative hard pin turn.
Right. Was it one night at one bar at 6 a.m. where you're like, that's it, I gotta make a porno right now?
This for me. This is for me. Exactly.
Yeah, there was a moment I really enjoy, is really kinky moment.
Okay.
We were with a group of friends in this bar in Brussels, by the way, and it started there. And there was a lot of sex happening around us, you know, like whatever. And we look at
like whatever.
whatever things, and look at each other, and suddenly we had the same moment, a big orgasm in the brain, but we cannot breathe.
That you can't breathe. You had a brain orgasm.
You can't breathe anymore because you are waiting too much. You know what I mean? It's called
autoerotic asphyxiation
and breathing practice. Also, they do it with the mask, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, like a cellophane, like a plastic, or
keep on they put this mask, but we didn't have a mask, so it was great. And so we had this brain explosion. So we look at each other with the big eyes, and we were like, that's so, like, even triple 5-time poppers, like.
And one of your films has this beautiful woman, and I don't know if it's beautiful woman, a man, whatever they want to call themselves, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, it's a non-binary person to
yeah, both, and she's putting, and he, she, they, them are putting the mask on the other he, she, they, them.
Yeah.
And because, I mean, asphyxiation is, you know, very sexy to some people, and it's done so lovingly and beautifully in the film. I forget the name of the film because I watched all of it in a row.
Licorice.
It's called what?
Licorice,
yes.
So this is like orgasm apnea, basically.
That is apnea orgasm,
yeah, or whatever reverse. Yeah. Okay.
And so this moment was really like other moment too, like, yeah.
Did you find that? And so let's just take the kind of the immediate recent experience of working at the bar, finding like a collective of people that were sexually liberated, performing acts, then deciding to film it. Did you find that over this period that your taste in what you wanted changed, grew, changes all the time?
Yeah, I felt more free myself. I free myself for some trauma I had also in my sexuality, I think. And I discovered a scene that was, it was not a scene, it was a bar, but a community of people who can also welcome me, because I was only the only non-binary person there. You know, there was only men. And I felt not problematic this time, the fact that I was non-binary. I felt very included, and it freed myself from a lot of things. And expressing it also and making public is also, at first it's like you are shy and you say, oh, did I open the good door? Like, it's like, I'm afraid of the consequences. It's a little death, but it's a charming death.
Also, when people are free enough that they don't want to be judged by a common pronoun or a word that is, they want to not be judged, they're less likely, we hope, to judge other people, and therefore, of course, you're going to feel more welcome.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Were you born in France?
Yes, I'm born in France, nearby Paris, in the suburbs.
Okay, all right.
So from the ghetto suburbs, yeah.
Yeah, the suburbs are the roughest part of the Paris metropolis.
Yeah, it's called Sarcelles. It was like near in the north of Paris.
Was it mostly Algerian up there, or what was the demographic?
Yeah, we were all mixed culture. Like, it's like literally I'm really proud of this, not the suburbs exactly, but when I was at school, for example, we were all from all the first wave of migrants. I mean, kids of the first wave of migrants in France after colonization and all these things, you know.
Yeah.
We were like representing all the cultures, Arabic, African, Asian. Everybody was there.
Did you have you had Vietnamese parents that immigrated to France?
Yes, my dad is both people. Yeah.
So you're first generation French. Okay. Did they flee during the war, or what? How did that happen?
I think they were They did it before, just before the war,
Okay.
before the war. Yeah,
The war is
Vietnam.
never over, and hence everyone is a migrant. Do they know what your work is? Do they understand you, or were they part of the reason that you became so much of who you are?
Oh, they don't talk so much about it, like, but I was lucky, you know, because in my life I had uncle and aunties who did it before me a little bit. Like I had an auntie that was HIV in the 90s. So they prepared the territory with the family, you know. So they don't talk about my work. They are not saying to their friend, of course, my daughter is not a daughter anymore, but they
My
became
daughter, don't call her that. She's a pornographer. Don't even call her that.
no. They
I don't even know if I want to call her my
I
daughter.
guess. But they're still good with me, and there's
Right.
still a love, you know. But it's hard. It's yeah. Mm.
But in the ways that we choose our own extended family. We have collectives. We have communities. We have love in.
Yeah, I have my friends are my family, and we are growing together.
And that's the extent. That's who the real family. When you choose your family, that's who it is. I know that in one of the interviews I saw with you, and this has happened a lot in Berlin, and I think a lot in London. And I'm not so much. I don't know so much about a lot of other places, but a lot of death recently, post COVID, and with fentanyl, and with overdoses, and with
Oh,
suicide.
don't tell me. I just lost 6 friends in a year, and I lost one like 3 days ago, honestly. Again, it happens
But
again.
but
I'm gonna be
fentanyl,
director of
Wait,
funeral soon. Again. Yeah.
but I mean, fair overdoses happen all the time, but fentanyl hasn't really hit Europe yet. I mean, maybe a little bit, but not. And there's a lot of well, in the EU, a lot of the politicians are like, just the amount of heroin addiction in Europe. Like once that does, it's going to be body bag central. It's going to.
were your friends? Was it all different things? Was it suicide and addiction and fentanyl and death?
In the 6 friends I lost, like the last one we don't know yet because we need to
It
wait
was 3 days ago. So sorry.
inquiry police and everything, so we don't know yet the death cause.
Sure.
But the others were a mix of suicide because they were trans also, you know, many trans
Yeah.
people are dying.
Higher
Queer,
rates, yeah.
queer people are dying.
Yeah.
Queer people are dying.
You know, I want to ask you about this because there's these as you must know because you're in it, particularly in America, there's these culture wars and queer and all types of
Other.
non-binary.
Yeah.
The politicians are using them as pawns. You know, you have the right wing that's predictable, right? But this kind of fake left wing that's basically claiming they're taking on that fight, and there's good things that are happening, but there's also some exploitation where they're being pawns, and they're not the receivers of that violence that's happening by, you know, how delicate this is. I'm wondering, who do you side with in politics? I mean, of course, Europe's different, but
in Germany it's difficult because I'm not voting anymore in France. I'm voting in Berlin, you know, today because it's 8 years in I mean, I voted this year for France. True, I can vote sometime for France. I don't vote fully in Germany, in Berlin. In Berlin is very delicate topic because there's a lot of pink washing in the community today, which is like, I'm super against that.
Educate me. Pink washing is exactly what? That's
pink washing is like when you are not pro-Palestinian and so you
okay.
don't.
You're talking. Okay, you're talking about that. Okay, all right. Yeah.
Like we call it pink washing.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought.
What's interesting is this. Look, so many countries now seem to be going backward in many things, but there are so many people going forward who are not being stopped by this, because always there's going to be artistic rebellion. It is always going to be the salve to the universal wound. And you know, we don't have to agree with every form that art takes. We don't have to like every form that, or even like the artist. But we have to be happy that there is, I feel, always this underbelly pushing forward of different generations coming to the underground or the forefront, wherever they can stick their goodies or their baddies into the face, and with a collective in mind. Because It's not, we are not going away.
No,
Whatever
we
we
have to be solidar. Solidarity is the only way to save us and to build together things. And it's really important. Like now, since the last few years, the last year, I'm really into the grief topic. And so we work more and more as collective to think about it, to grieve together, to heal together, to find solution to how we're going to make it together. Again, we check on it. Like I receive messages of friends. I check on my friends, you know, like I take care of my friends. We are like little in this world. And even I don't believe in the left or today, honestly, like I don't believe in politicians. So we have,
I don't believe in anybody that
I
makes
believe
millions
in
of dollars and tries to tell the
us
rest
as
of
citizens, you know, like I don't believe in politics.
Well, the cliche philosophy line that people use sometimes is think globally, act locally, because it's so overwhelming, all this stuff. And if you have immediate people you care about and you can share what you have to share with them, at least directly in front of your face, you see the impact of that.
Well,
Yeah.
also, again, a big issue in America is this. We have so much negative propaganda about so many bad and horrible things, especially with the idiotic politicians, but also so much is focused on, you know, the doomsday prophecies, which, you know, I mean, let's face it, the world is pretty hardy, even though millions of species are disappearing, millions of people are refugees, the world is dying before us.
Yeah.
But that the focus on that also brings people really down on a daily level. I mean, I have to investigate this. I'm obsessed with all of this bullshit because it's the same as it ever was. I have to talk about it, but somehow it doesn't bring me down to its level. And
So
there
your
was,
last comment was amazing. He was talking about all that and in very clever way. Thank you so much. I love that. The one we did in Silent Green was like
my crematorium performance. Thank you. Well, Tim and I will be at Hamburger Buff September 12th.
September 12th. We're performing on September 12th together.
We'll be with you.
again.
We'll be with you. And then,
it's going to happen.
yeah. But back to the negativity that, for instance, there was an experiment done in Georgia on one news station. They said, we're going to only publish positive news. Their ratings went way down. But I think there needs to be a balance of what.
It's Lydia, it's actually worse than that. So, you know, before Instagram took over, but as Facebook was coming up some years ago, you know, they had all types of Facebook users volunteer, and they were doing market research with them. And they had this group they're doing the research with. I don't know how many it was, but a bunch. And all they did with their algorithm was feed them positive news. But what happened was they stopped looking at Facebook because they felt comfortable and they felt reassured. But people want to look at the car crash, they want to look at the danger. And basically Facebook was like, or Zuckerberg was like, we're not doing that. We're going to lose our users. We're going to just do fear-based, self-obsession based.
You know that they are losing. I'm not saying specifically Facebook. I'm saying the internet in general is losing a lot of young people to suicide because of this comparative shopping, not like bullshit based on small fame for doing nothing. A lot of kids are under incredible pressure.
Ugly. It is really ugly. It isn't.
It's very ugly. It's very ugly when beauty is the standard, especially surgically.
It doesn't have to grow in your mind. It doesn't have to grow with your knowledge. There's no knowledge there. It's really empty.
There are a lot of, well, you know, history will dictate and time will dictate. So when in the 1500s, you know, the English didn't really have, they had their beer and their wine, but they're like, hey, let's make this stronger. And well, there's this thing called distillation that they came across, and murder in London for like 100 years went up tenfold. I mean, it was like you couldn't handle it. And so what they're saying a lot with the social media and stuff like that's like, we don't even know yet what that is doing.
Well, I read a great article today that was about, we are progressing so fast technologically, but not genetically, so that we're Neanderthals, and then we have the internet, which knows everything but teaches you.
We are partially Neanderthals. We did interbreed, that's true. But the last Homo sapien evolution step.
I love it when you talk about my father like that.
Homo sapiens.
When we were the last evolutionary step, we were walking on average 25 miles a day, hunter gatherers and all that stuff. And so if you're sitting in a chair all day on a screen crunch like this, like I have anxiety, I have stress. It's like we haven't evolved since then. So it's like we're forcing a square through a circle. We don't feel right because our last actual evolutionary step is when we're
Well,
not
and when the
hunter
world,
gatherers walking to, not that we can possibly go back to that, but
when the world
civilizations
is
have come and
fast,
go, and yeah.
but your vision is reduced to a 6x6 square or even smaller a phone.
Yeah.
When your vision narrows,
It's really bad for the eyes. You have to do yoga eyes.
now, Nikki, I have to say, I think that we share this. If we want to have, and we do, intimate, intellectual, maybe even devious relationships, we want to smell the person first, not just see their
I
fucking
agree.
face.
I totally agree. I need smelling.
Well,
I need to smell.
it's funny because there's also a lot of things that we sense that we don't smell, certain pheromonal things that we actually don't consciously smell. So that's why you'll have these kind of Tinder dates and people are like, oh, everything's perfect on paper. They look right. They have this, and then they get in the room and like something's off. Like,
By
I
the
don't
way,
know.
people know this, that Tim Dahl is one of the best smelling
Stop.
person I've ever
Oh,
met.
I heard about
White
those-
teeth
I
are just
heard
a
about
tease.
it. It's very famous.
Oh boy.
Smell
Let's
is
talk about abortion again. Let's talk about abortion.
But I smell pretty good myself, and so do you, Nikki. But right now, I'm hot.
Oh,
as hell.
I'm smelling good too. I have my cat. I have my cat. I can smell my cat.
Oh,
Well, I smell like a sultry bitch theory. That's all I know. Whatever, if there's a smell to it, I must be it.
Yeah, you have to be humid. Yeah, and smelly.
What's the next step for you, darling? So you got back from Bucharest. You're doing your
Yeah.
theater performances. You've done music in the past with spoken word. What now is on the immediate horizon? More festivals?
So
What?
I got a couple of projects on the road, like many projects. I get 1,000 of work, but I love it. I'm like working on I don't know if it's going to be a feature or a medium length movie, but I'm shooting a friend that is named Finn. That is a young DJ producer in Berlin and artist. He's like 22, I think. No, 21. He's 21 years old. He just got his birthday. And I met him when he was 18 in a music festival. And I'm fascinated by him. He's my new muse. He's beautiful. He's a twink boy.
Is that a wink?
He's a twink.
They say with a smile like a Cheshire cat.
Blue eyes and curly hair. He has roots from Africa too. He's a super genius musician, and I'm filming it every month to break my routine as a filmmaker. So I didn't write any script. I just have the camera on my shoulder and I record him every month. And at the end of the year, so next year, at the end of the summer, I will edit only.
oh, all right. You have
That's
it mapped out.
That's a new way to do for me. I never did that in the past. And
Improvisational filmmaking.
yeah, but I have fears when I do it, but I do it anyway, and I challenge myself, and I like it.
Well, we
Well, and
also have
also,
the
excuse me,
tools.
Tim, you're making a film as a person is growing, because if
Yeah.
it's over an expanded period of time, when they're still so young, it's like this is a work in progress as the person is a work in progress.
Yeah, so, and we don't talk only about sexuality, we talk about everything.
Yeah.
Maybe, but his love is beautiful, and he's a positive person, very like, always positive. I'm fascinated by him. So yeah, it's my new film. It's going to be called Finn or the Yes Boy.
And what's strange is the three of us and many of the people we have on this podcast, it's like, even though we deal with heavy subject matter, transgressive subject matter, sexual subject matter, musical insanity, we are all very positive, most of the people here. And, only people, if they've talked to me, I mean, both Tim and I can be extremely sarcastic and cut your head off with one sentence, but mainly we are very positive because we wouldn't be doing something like this every week, trying to get people to just recognize other people that we have this connective tissue with, basically outside of the norm, doing what they want stubbornly, relentlessly, and they will not stop.
Yeah,
And
we need energy. We need energy. But otherwise, I'm working also on art topics like grief, I told you. And I'm also in charge of helping to edit some feature film of a friend who died, whose name was Rob Tallin. He was a musician. and a filmmaker, and I want to put his film in the proper cinema screen, you know, so I'm helping to do legacy of my friends, and I have 6 friends legacy to deal with too. But it's important for me to do it, you know. It's not going to be my own work, but I work on it with other friends, and we are proud to do it because
I think
legacy
it's very important now to deal with
that
the subject.
matter, and yeah, it's very important to do when we are artists, that, you know, to support
Yeah.
your friends who died and to
Yeah.
take them
Well,
life.
and I'm very lucky that I made a film about 25 artists that did not die with depression, anxiety, and rage. I was very lucky that they did not die when a lot of them had very suicidal thoughts for a long time because of many things. Because anyway, darling, we will see you in a few weeks in Berlin.
Yeah, thank you so
Can't
much.
wait. And so
Nice
great
meeting
to
you.
talk to you. And this is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, and Nicky Miller. And she's doing all kinds of naughty and nice things.
Thank you,
Invest-
guys.
All right, nice meeting you.